Hi, I'm Toria Brooke, and I'm joined by Dr. Frank Marghella, who's not only my chiropractor, but he's also well versed in holistic health. And with everything going on with MAHA, I figured this would be a great person to have on. So, what do you think about Mike Tyson teaming up with Robert F. Kennedy to encourage healthy eating?
It's interesting because he seemed like he was kinda joining up with Trump too this past year or a couple years, and, I think the more people that get involved, the better. Like, if you watch the commercial, he talked about how he ballooned up to, 345 pounds, and he really didn't feel like himself, and he was just dealing with a lot of issues in his life, and he watched a lot of his family get obese and overweight, and I think he's a really good inspirational story just himself, but the more people that jump on this train, I mean, the better it gets, you know?
Yeah, I also just watched yesterday. I think Dana White did a multi-day water fast, which I know you had just done.
Yeah.
I need to do it, but Dana showed before and after photos, and it was actually wild. So I think Gary Brecka is the one that kind of changed his life, and I'm not sure who put him onto the water fast. But do you know more about that?
Yeah, so I think it was Gary Brecka, and, so if anybody's ever done that, it's really good. I've done 3-day water fast, I've done 4-day water fast, I even did one time a 5-day. It's not easy to do, but I'm telling you, like, once you've done it, you drop some of that excess weight, you drop at least 5 pounds. I've dropped anywhere from, like, 5 to 8 pounds, but what I find is my joints just feel better, the inflammation drops down. There's a lot of research that shows that your killer T cells splice up, your stem cells really kick into action, and your body gets rid of a lot of the damaged cells that are in there. So really basically like what it's called autophagy, where it eats like cancer cells and the bad cells that are in your body. Honestly, everybody should do a water fast, really at least once a year, if not twice a year. But it's such a good thing to do. And then, yeah, those pictures are crazy. Like he got shredded. Like you
Yep.
could see a huge difference. Honestly, it's good to do that, before a vacation because you look really good when you go on vacation
Yep.
or show, if you're on a show or
So the joke is that we re-recorded this because I was like, "Nah, Frank, like we gotta re-record it." I was like, I'll pay. I don't care." So I'm glad that we did, but I actually have been intermittent fasting. So for me, the thyroid, actually, if I could stomach being able to do a straight up water fast, it probably would reset my thyroid.
yeah.
I'm trying my best, but yeah, so far the intermittent fasting seems to be helping me. I just ordered a new water bottle, which is right here. So as long as I drink, as many as I can a day, usually about 4,
Yeah.
if I could drink about a gallon of water a day, I think that tremendously helps, right? I
It
mean,
does, and just like, for instance, I have patients that come in with high blood pressure, and most of people are dehydrated. So a lot of people wake up, they drink several cups of coffee, and they don't drink enough water to kind of offset the coffee. You really need about a bottle of water per cup of coffee you drink to kind of offset that. Plus, then you need about half your body weight in water a day. So a lot of people have high blood pressure, and the more water you drink, it actually lets your body have lower blood pressure. Kinda like if you think about I remember I was at a seminar and the guy's like, "Try to suck ketchup through a straw," which is, insane to do, but you can't get it through there, and he's like, "Add some water to it," and it's able to do that. So the water really makes the viscosity of the blood less so that your body doesn't have that high blood pressure. So just that alone is a really good thing.
so what actually first inspired you to do the water fast? Was it everything you're kind of telling me about, or?
So there's a guy, his name's Judah Landau. He's a bodybuilder in the area here, and he's a friend of mine. And he had come in and done some red light sessions. He competes a lot. He's in great shape. He does personal training, and he had told me about it, and I was like, man, that sounds kind of crazy. But I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot because I was just trying to see if I could reset a lot of things. And I've done for the last 3 or 4 years now. I've done at least one a year, if not two a year, and every time I do it, I just feel so much better. Because the other thing is just the body has so much toxins we're exposed to. Even if you're eating healthier, there's still a lot of toxins that you're exposed to just from just life previously. It builds up in your system. Even you've talked to people, parasites is a bigger problem than we
Mhm.
realize too. So, and when you starve parasites and you don't eat and it lets your body relax for a few days, you know, they talk about fasting a ton of times in the Bible, and really, it's one of the best things you can do, and I feel so much better whenever I do it. Like my joint, that's the biggest thing. The joints pain is like non-existent. The inflammation's down so much. Um, I highly recommend it for anybody. It's just a great reset, especially in the new year here. If you haven't done that yet, like, and you're not on your journey yet, like you're trying to lose weight this year or whatever, do a water fast to start with. It just, and then right after that, the weight just continues to drop off.
So it's interesting you bring up the Bible because supposedly there is a verse, I think it's Matthew 17:20 or 17:23, that in some versions of the Bible was removed, and it's about fasting.
Yes, I just saw that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So
I just saw a clip about that.
it makes you wonder why they would want to remove that. Now, it's not all versions because mine is the Amplified, it still has it. But I think it talks about, I know this is a little beyond science, but it says that fasting can get demons out of your body.
Yes. And if you think about it, like when you fast, you it honestly it helps just kind of clear your mind because
Mhm.
think about like I always think I have kids and stuff, and every day is like, what do we have for dinner? What do we have for lunch? What am I gonna give them for breakfast? Imagine days where you don't have to think about what you have to eat and you just have to drink water.
Yeah.
It honestly clears your mind so you can really focus on other things. Plus, I find like we live in a society, everything's too easy now. Everything's so, comfortable, everything's so easy to get to and accessible. Have a few days where you're just kind of like a little out of your norm, and it really gets you mentally sharper. It really gets that edge back. I feel like every time I've done that, like I just the brain fog goes away, the inflammation goes away. I just feel like it's really good for anybody. And yeah, and the Bible verse, like I saw that. So the newer versions seem like a lot of them they've gotten rid of that for whatever reason, but the older versions, if you buy an old Bible, it'll typically have those in there, or certain versions will have it.
So some people say when it comes to cancer that it is parasites, that cancer
Yeah.
is parasitic. So that's why certain holistic health, I think Mel Gibson was talking about this on Joe Rogan's show about the different holistic meds that can cure cancer. Do you remember that episode? I'm blanking on what you said.
Um, they had, well, ivermectin's one of them, which
Mhm.
was why during COVID there was all that uproar about not using it. Meanwhile, they've used it for all these years. He mentioned a couple other ones, and like, is it methylene blue? Um,
I don't know if
helps with that, but then there was also like Fenben or like
fenbendazole or fenben.
yeah,
I don't. There was a couple. I can't remember all the names, but that's a very, very good episode. If you guys want to look up the Joe Rogan episode with Mel Gibson
yeah,
to fact check what I'm saying. But I remember when I shared that to Instagram, I was shocked. It actually got amazing views, which with the way big tech's been, I was shocked that that topic was getting views.
yeah.
So it's good because I think Big Farm is getting slammed. I think that MAHA is progressing forward. And actually, lately I've been studying. There's a lot of early what's the word? If you catch Alzheimer's early detection,
Yeah.
you can actually reverse it. So there was a guy that had lost his job because they thought that he was on drugs, but really he was having early Alzheimer's and he had no idea. So he lost all these jobs and even his wife's like, "What's going on?" Once they realized what was happening, he could actually reverse it. So there's new tests you can get done. So it's pretty amazing what they're coming out with.
It's funny you say that. I just watched a video today about early detection of Alzheimer's, and they said that, like, if somebody's got major constipation issues, that's actually an indication that you could get dementia later. And the reason why is your body needs those nutrients and waste to come out of your system. Because if the bowels are backed up, there's a big connection with the bowels and the brain that you basically it's like sepsis almost, is what can cause that too. But it's like almost like a slower version of sepsis. Your body's pulling in all those toxins too much, and it's not good. They even said like the size of your waist correlates to how big or small your brain is. The bigger your waist is, the smaller your brain gets as you age.
Mm.
They said just, increasing processed foods, even just 10% increase your odds by 25% to get Alzheimer's and dementia and stuff like that. So
Crap.
yeah, so it's like
Oh, see, our camera guy's even laughing because we're red pilling him right now. But yeah, so I'm gonna try my best. My brother actually just did 2 weeks of water fast. I don't know if I can.
wow,
I don't know if I can do 2 weeks.
that's
And
impressive.
I know some people who have done 30 days, but he lost 35 pounds.
See,
So
I've thought about doing I've gotten to 5, but man, once I hit 5, I'm, like, ravenous at that point.
yeah,
But if I could ever go past that, there's huge I've watched the videos of, like, once you get past day 3, 4 or 5, like, there's all these extra things that start happening, so that's awesome that your brother did that.
Yeah, I know. So it inspired my mom. So they're both, they're very ambitious. So am I. You could see the bloodline. So I mean, I'm gonna try. I think I can do a couple days, but you got to kind of time it with what you have going on. Because if you're feeling a little sluggish, I don't want to have to be,
Yeah,
doing things that are strenuous. But I mean, there's a lot of interesting science and results that I'm seeing from people. Obviously Dana White, and we're
yeah.
talking about you. So
So, a couple things with that. So, I find that you don't wanna do it on a weekend. It's
okay,
almost impossible
yeah.
because if you're just say you're home, you're literally staring at the refrigerator for 2 straight days.
Hmm.
So, I've done them always in the middle of the week, like, I'll do, like, a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday,
Hmm.
because I find that I'm busy with work, I'm busy with stuff with the kids, and I'm not thinking about food as much, and a lot of times my kids have practice, so those days we're not eating, like, family dinners as much because, we're not home at that point, so I find those are the easier days to do it, so try to do it during the week, I think. Um, at least that's helped me, and then, water's key. If you drink more water, you're typically less hungry, so if you get a good gallon of water in a day, you're just not gonna have as much room to eat as much because it's kinda full with that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, I am highly caffeinated. I don't normally, drink coffee, but I'm a little bit more energetic today because I had coffee this morning, because I had to be up for this, and I have the water, and actually, most people don't know this, but obviously the body is made mostly of water, and water holds energy. So, the more that you drink water, you are actually literally waking yourself up. So, it's interesting because many people throughout my life would ask me, "Why don't you drink coffee?" Well, it's because 'cause I'm constantly drinking water. I just love water. I don't
Yeah.
like most drinks. So, it's
And you're right. I mean, ultimately, water the problem with coffee I don't drink a lot of coffee
mm.
because I think we even talked about this last time. I like the creamer more than the coffee. So really, I'm drinking a bunch of sugar. And, I'm sure you've seen those videos of, like, when they hold a Starbucks cup and how much sugar is
Oh my
actually in
god.
it. They just dump the sugar in, you're like, "Wow, that's what I'm drinking." It's like this much sugar in the cup.
So what's really interesting is that I started going to the more small, like, mom and pop coffee shops when I was living out in Utah, and my mom and I, she visited, we went and tried some really great places, and, what you start to find is once you go back to Starbucks, it tastes like chemicals, and the more that we're learning of what they're putting in most of these, chains, it's really unfortunate, and I hope that they kind of change now that RFK is in and there's a lot of new things being implemented, but in a recent video of Mike Tyson, because as we discussed, Mike Tyson is teaming up with RFK for people to eat real food, eat healthier, he compared sugar addiction to being addicted to narcotics.
Yes.
So
It hits the same areas in the brain.
yeah, and so just think about kids when they're younger, they're eating cereals, whatever you're eating, they might have no idea how much chemicals and sugar is in it.
Yeah, honestly, I've never liked Starbucks. I don't like a lot of things they stand for either, but I really
Mhm.
don't like their coffee, but as far as, like, they're not using good quality ingredients, and then going back to, like, the brain centers, like, the sugar that hits the same brain centers as drugs do, a lot of the things now, like, with iPads, cell phones, TikTok for young kids, it hits those same areas too. The kids get addicted to phones, it hits those same brain centers, so
Mhm.
it's like that's why kids, when you take that away, they, like, freak out sometimes because they're hooked on that. It's like literally like a drug, and, like, kinda change the subject, like, with our kids, we don't use, I didn't give my oldest a cell phone till middle school,
Okay.
like, 2nd year of middle school. My youngest is 11, she wants one, I'm like, "Absolutely not," like, we're just not doing it. I think it's better to wait, and we didn't do any apps, any kind of, like, social media stuff until high school. I even offered my daughter $1,000 if she never had social media. I was willing to give her $1,000 cash. She held out until this year, so she finally said no, but I'm just like, I was hoping that
Well, that's a pretty good incentive.
yeah.
That's a really good
I saw
incentive.
somebody do that, and I'm like, "Oh, that's a good I'll give him $1,000." I'm gonna offer it to my youngest too, we'll see if it works, but either way, I'm gonna hold off till high school for any kind of social media.
Well, one of the things that I think, especially my generation, has been talking about is how we were the last to play outside more,
Yeah.
play manhunt, just do things outside in general. And now everybody's just addicted to their iPads and they're wondering why. Yeah, kids are getting depressed earlier. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Obesity rates are higher. They said now the average testosterone levels in kids, like boys, is down to like 250, which is almost equivalent to what like females had in like the 1970s. And just hormones in general are off in both males and females. But if you just look at just, most kids, if they even if they wanna be in the military, they can't do it. They're not qualified. They said less than 25% of our population can actually qualify for the military at this point. That's kinda dangerous.
Well, hopefully Hegseth can turn that around because I
Yeah,
think that they saw our enlistment numbers up this year.
yeah.
So,
So they just need, hopefully with some of the implements they're doing with the food and just people being more aware, parents will feed their kids better food, kids will eat better food. We'll just be healthier in general, so we'll have more less chronic disease and just better people for the military at some point.
what do you think about, well, what was very interesting to me about the Super Bowl this year, I actually did not watch it. I used to be a very big football fan, actually probably more of a hockey fan, but what I thought was very interesting is that the quarterback for the Patriots is only 23 years old. So
Yeah.
it's nice to kind of see, like, refreshing to see somebody young. What do you think, like, one of the biggest misdiagnosed injuries is? I mean, you're a chiropractor, so what do you kind of see coming in right now with the kids? Like, what are they being treated for?
So I'm seeing, well, in pros more than kids, but you're seeing a lot of these Achilles injuries now,
Okay.
and it's a lot of overuse stuff. I'm finding even kids that play baseball, a lot more Tommy John surgeries in high school. They used to never happen, but now they're seeing that more. I was watching a video that this kid's like 14 years old. He's throwing 101 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's dangerous at that age. Like, it's great that he could do that, but that kid's gonna definitely have a Tommy John surgery before senior year of high school. And I feel like for baseball, they've made these kids pitch too much in general,
Mhm.
and just sports in general has gotten to be where you just play one sport. When I was a kid, I played football, baseball, and basketball. Basically, each season would end, I just go to a new sport. Now they're really preaching more too much single sports and, like just what you play volleyball, you play baseball, you play football. And honestly, the better athletes over the years played multiple sports because you need a rest from the first sport to kinda go into
Yeah.
the second sport. A lot of the sports you play would lead to better results in the other sport that may be your favorite sport. I remember I played baseball, football, and basketball all the way to high school, and then when I lived in Long Island, they're like, "Oh, you should play lacrosse. There's better chance of a scholarship." I picked up a stick in ninth grade about a month before the season started, and it just kinda clicked because 'cause I'd played hockey and basketball my whole life. So it just was easy transition, but that was if I hadn't played other sports, I would've never been able to do that.
So that's basically what inspired you to become a chiropractor, right?
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I started getting some injuries and, I was getting some back injuries, and it was holding me back from being healthy for the season.
Mhm.
Started happening, like, junior year, even, like, sophomore year a little bit. I was having knee injuries, back injuries, and then I went my senior year, started going to chiropractor that summer, and it really changed my life. I was able to get healthy fast. I was able to just to feel better. I think we even have a couple graphics about, like, the chiropractic, how the body reacts to it and everything. We'll put that up on the screen, but there's just so many different things that got better. Even like my allergies got better, my acid reflux got better, just things I didn't even think about that I didn't even know. And I remember one time I was at his office, I was helping him out with stuff, and I had a headache. I was helping him on a Friday afternoon. He would have like ice cream days for the kids, like or Italian ice days, and I would scoop ice and Italian ices, and I had this major headache. And I remember looking at him like, I'm like, "Man, I just got this headache. I can scoop the ices, can I just get some Tylenol or ibuprofen or something?" He was just like it was like it was like a record player went like, he looked at me, he's like, "No," he goes, "We don't do that." He goes, "I'm gonna give you an adjustment. I'm gonna let you lay down for 5 or 10 minutes." He goes, "You're gonna be fine." But he's like, that's how you treat it. You gotta treat the cause of the actual headache. So this is a good slide. So as chiropractic, what I liked is that I was able to see him. My headaches were getting better that day when he was like, "Listen, just we gotta remove the interference of why you're getting the headache, not just mask it with some ibuprofen or some Tylenol." And that's what I liked about chiropractic is I could help people without giving them medication, without doing something outside of just, removing the interference in the body.
Mhm.
This is a good way to kinda look at it with this is BJ Palmer, one of the developers of chiropractic. The beauty about chiropractic is the fact that it works with natural means. It puts nothing new into the body, nor does it take away any natural gland or organ. Chiropractic simply releases life forces within the body, sets free rivulets of energy over nerves, and lets nature do her work in a normal manner. And that's really what it's about. It's just about, God gave you this body. It's perfect. And unfortunately with life, we're sitting around, we have poor posture, we're not eating well, we're not drinking enough water, we're not exercising enough. The body just gets compressed in certain areas, so it really just needs to be released, and that's what a chiropractor does. It just releases the interference in the body so that your body just does what it's supposed to do. That's the main thing. Chiropractic in general just helps with so many different things. I'm sure that some of your audience has probably been in a chiropractor.
Oh, yeah.
And
Or needs to.
the cool part too is like we're in the Olympics right now. So, they bring like 150 to 200 chiropractors overseas to work on these athletes. They're constantly getting chiropractic adjustments. The actual head of the medical department for the Olympic team is actually a chiropractor. I met him at a seminar,
Oh, wow.
and they're the ones that kind of dictate the care, and they do the more conservative route. So they do more chiropractic, acupuncture, massage. They do much more conservative treatments. They really stay away from like injections, stuff like that, or surgeries. They even do, like they look into like stem cell, PRP, stuff like that to help heal things. Um, it's sad, like with Lindsey Vonn, stuff like that is.
Well, I mean, okay, I understand it was probably her last Olympics, but I mean, she tore her ACL. I was kinda shocked that she even still
Oh, I was like, man, that's. Here's the thing, I just turned 45. She's 41. I would not be thinking about doing stuff like that at 41. Like there's certain things I'll still do a lot of things, but man, like it's so much harder to heal like when you hit your 40s. So like with her, she already has a titanium part of her knee. She's had so many other injuries. Maybe she just likes riding helicopters. Boy, you're just.
I don't think that that
I'm just kidding, but she's such a great athlete. I just feel bad. I think sometimes like it's hard to let go at that point. You see it with like professional athletes when they go to retire. It's hard to let go because you're just so into that sport. That's all you've known. Plus, you're still young. 41 is young. It's hard to just be like, yeah, I'm never skiing professionally again. That's a tough thing to.
So speaking of that, many people are criticizing, I know this is a little off topic. Many people are criticizing Giselle Bundchen for, leaving Tom Brady for this jujitsu instructor. And, there's many arguments as to why it happened, but many people say it's because he would not give up the sport for the family. And the way I see it is these guys, if that's their God-given talent, they need to train or play
Yeah.
as long as they can. Because then, yeah, you wanna be able to reflect and say, "Hey, I did everything I could." So maybe Lindsey Vonn just really wanted to.
I think so. It's tough, and I think that it's such a weird world. It's not a normal world. So you have to knowing if you marry somebody in like politics or movies or TV or sports that you're not going to have a normal life. You're going to probably make a lot of money and but it's not going to be normal. They're going to be away a lot. There's a lot of temptation with stuff like that. I think it's just it's a tough thing to be in, and you see like a guy like like Matt Stafford is a great example. Like I saw him, he got the MVP the other day. He had his 4 daughters on. They did a little video about it, and I'm just like, that's tough to maintain that kind of normalcy when you're always away and you're always practicing, you're always watching film, you're always, with the team. And when you have a good team and you go into the playoffs, you don't stop until February. They just had the Super Bowl the other day, so it's like it's a long season.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice about how it is when you are at a certain point and dating people, and if people wanna know why I'm single, it's because my type is, career-long interrogators who probably rip people's fingers off for a living. So I completely understand the interesting lives and how people have their careers and whatnot. I actually was an athlete girlfriend for a very long time, almost a decade. My ex actually played D1 football, so definitely am not a stranger to seeing the head injuries and things like that. And I think the NFL actually banned certain kinds of hits because of the concussions that were going on.
Yeah, so they banned they're really the helmet to helmet stuff you don't see a lot, and if they do, they immediately throw a flag. They've gotten away from like, if you try to sack the quarterback, if you happen to hit him in the helmet, even if it's not that bad, they've made it a penalty, which is just trying to get guys not to do that. They're also like these drop tackles where the guy like will tackle you and then just literally like drop down. It's caused a lot of like back and knee and hip and foot injuries. So they've tried to get away from that to be more of like a regular tackle where you don't just like put all your body weight and like throw the guy down. And then going back to like what we were talking about before, like with kids, I just see a lot of overuse injuries and like my daughter plays volleyball now. We finally decided to try club this year. It's very demanding.
I love volleyball.
It's
played
such a cool sport.
Yeah.
But it's very demanding. So like just this month alone, They've had 3 tournaments. They they will have 3 tournaments by the end of the month. That's a lot for these kids, plus they're practicing 3 days a week for 2 hours at a time. They're swinging their arm a ton. I just find that, like, that baseball, they're constantly playing it not now it's spring, summer, and fall baseball, and even winter. Um, you know, basketball is all year round, gymnastics, everything's turned into an all around, all year round sport. There's not a lot of rest for these kids. They need to be getting adjusted even at a young age, and kids can kinda shrug it off because they're not gonna be so hurt that it's, like an adult can, but those minor little things that add up over time is when all of a sudden you get in your 20s, you're sitting at your desk at work, you're like, "Man, why is my back hurting all the time? Why is it shooting down my leg?" This is stuff that's happened from childhood all the way to that 20 years, and finally people start to go to the chiropractor, but a lot of that can be prevented if they start going as a kid. I've seen, scoliosis cases where I'm able to help straighten out a scoliosis if you catch it early when the growth plates are open. Um, that's the cool part about having kids come in. They have such quick results. Even little babies that are having colic, just, they have constipation issues. I've seen so many things over the years that I've been able to help adjust people where they've just had so much better results as a kid, and then when they get to the adulthood, they're not having those problems.
So speaking of being preventative, I know a lot of athletes are getting involved with the administration, like Triple
Mhm.
H we had talked about before, the last time we recorded. And what I actually found interesting, a little political here, is that there was a study done of a couple of different professional sports, and over 50% of the MLB players, I believe, right now are registered Republicans, and then hockey as well. But what do you think about kinda what they're implementing? I think they're bringing back the physical fitness test?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the president. So I don't know if you did that when you were a kid.
Yeah, we
When I was a kid, we did that. It was big in the 80s and 90s. You'd run the mile, you'd do pull-ups,
yeah.
sit-ups, you do like that stretch thing, you do a bunch of different things. I think it's good. Like we need a standard of sports. It's okay to do that. I feel like I don't know why we got away from it in the first place.
You know?
I don't know if it was hurting somebody's feelings if they couldn't do enough, whatever it is. I'm just like, like that's part of life. You should be able to do a pull up as a kid, like especially boys, maybe not so much girls, but like sit ups, pull ups, run the mile. Like these are things that an average kid should be able to do pretty easily, I think.
Yeah.
And I just think we've gotten away from that. And it's good that now we're implementing this stuff. It's just common sense stuff, like just the whole eating thing. Like, why would you want to eat a bunch of stuff with chemicals in it?
Well, it's wild. Now they flip the food, pyramid upside down,
Yeah,
right?
that's one of the best things. They should have done that, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
They really put it, where fat was bad and carbs were okay, and they didn't get into how bad sugar really was. They demonized the fat, so like olive oil, butter, stuff like that. Now they're like jumping eggs. Remember how it was so bad to eat eggs
Oh,
for
yeah.
so long? And I'm just like, we did this for like forever, and all of a sudden now we hit the 1950s, and now it's bad to do that?
Well, if you think about what God put on the earth, right? He put animals
Yeah.
to hunt. So it's like all through time we were eating meat.
Yep.
Why would we change?
I mean, look at the rates of chronic illnesses over the last 100 years since we've gotten away from just eating basic fruits, vegetables, and meats, right? Food like bread processed with bromine, with all these, unnatural fillers and stuff like that. Like they even had for a while, like Subway put that chemical and like that's in yoga mats. It's in their breath.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like all this stuff. Like, why did we go towards that for a profit? Like you're killing the people that are eating your stuff.
So am I correct that isn't iodized bread better? Is that
Yeah, so they got away from that. So
okay?
they used to have the iodized bread and stuff like that, and then they demonized iodine, and look at all the thyroid issues we have now because 'cause we're not getting enough natural iodine in anything. So we went towards bromine, and bromine actually is damaging to the thyroid.
So when I went to Italy, it was September of 2024, I believe. I was eating breads over there and I felt fine.
Mm,
It's amazing how in Europe they're not putting the same chemicals. I mean, if you compare a bottle of ketchup, for example, here versus in Europe, it's like 3 ingredients over
yep.
there versus here.
And that's why too, this whole movement makes sense. Why should Europe and these other countries have much cleaner food and we get the crap food that has all the chemicals in it, all the dyes, all the things like that. And then, yeah, so like so here's the other thing about the flour there. They in the US, they've crossbred where the flour has more gluten in it.
Okay.
And over in Europe, they have the old version of it where it doesn't have that. So right away, it's easier to digest because it's not heavy with the gluten. The other thing is for instance, pasta there. They slow dry the pasta over there so that it's more of like when you look at it, it has like it's more yellow, it
Mm.
has almost like a powdery look to it. Whereas the pasta here in the US is more fast dried and they're not using the good like semolina like they do over there. So it's harder to digest. So then you're eating this pasta and this bread and stuff that's been doused also with glyphosates. I also read something that when they harvest these crops to make the crop have more yield, they actually douse it with glyphosate after they've picked it
Oh,
because
man.
then it blooms more and they get more yield from the product. And I'm like, that's what we're all getting. It's all and it's in everybody's system. It's in the water supply. It's poisoning the soil like it's everywhere. And that's why Americans have so much more problems with this stuff is because Europe just stuck with the old, more traditional ways of food and preparation.
Well, it's a shame because when you're over in Europe or Italy, whatever those
You feel
gonna eat over there, you feel amazing and you're actually not having to eat as much food to be full
yeah.
because it has more nutrients in it. It hasn't been stripped of everything that makes it what it's supposed to be. But I just want to pause for a second and I want to shout out our sponsor, which is Dr. Frank's business.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about Ideal Health and Wellness.
Yeah, so this is my I graduated 20 years ago this year from chiropractic school, and it's my 19th year in practice. So it's amazing sometimes to think like it's gone this long, but I finished school. I went to Palmer Chiropractic in Iowa, and right after school, I came down to Nashville. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody here, and I just kind of said I want to go south and just make it work. And I was able to meet my wife and everything, have kids. I started my practice. I was in Bellevue, and now I'm over in Franklin, and I've been there for the last 10 years, and it's been great. And I've been adding things. I started as just regular chiropractic, and then we've added some therapies like we do decompression now. We do laser treatments. We even do like full body red light treatments, which you've done
Yeah.
before. We do custom orthotics. I work with a lot of athletes in the area, mostly, middle school and high school kids. I love it, and it's been a passion of mine since I was a teenager. I really love it because I can help people. I feel like I was just called to help people, and that was just something I wanted to do. And I just feel like I've been able to help so many people with just chronic injuries or just be more aware, like we're talking today, and I do a lot of health talks, in the area. I just want to get the message out about health, and this whole MAHA movement really has been amazing because I wish this was happening years ago,
I know.
but finally it's here, and I think it's not going to go away.
So wait, what's your podcast? How can they find you?
So I'm on my podcast is Sporting Good Posture, and it's on iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio. I'm actually going to have you on here in the next month or so and get you on there, and we can talk more about the MAHA stuff. I'm in Cool Springs. It's called Ideal Health and Wellness Center. The phone number is 615-567-6683. I'm on social media, Instagram at Ideal Health Wellness Center, Facebook at Ideal Health and Wellness Center. And we do all these kind of things. We have a $59 new patient special for chiropractic, and we have a $37 new patient special for red light treatments. So highly recommend coming in, at least find out what's going on. We'll find the actual cause of the problem, and then we just fix the actual cause to make your body just do what it's supposed to do.
So thank you for all that explanation. I want to hear more about the red light therapy. What can that help? And what does it help with?
So, I started doing the red light therapy more for like a better alternative for weight loss and fat loss because I was seeing people using like phentermine and all these weight loss drugs. This is going back like 10, 15 years ago. And I started doing it more for fat loss. But over the years now, I now have a full body machine, which really helps with inflammation. You've even seen changes with your thyroid. When you get the red light to absorb in the thyroid, it actually helps a lot with the inflammation in the thyroid, but just in the body. We wrap the arms, the legs, the stomach, the hips. There's even a face mask. It's helped with collagen production as we age. Unfortunately, we get in our 40s, we start losing a lot of our collagen. And then as we get into our 60s, you've lost about half your collagen. But those people that are doing red light from the time like in their 30s and 40s through their 60s, you dramatically slow down that. So you're gonna have less wrinkles, you're gonna have less joint wear and tear because you're gonna have more collagen. It also helps with just joint pains that you have. So red light is really one of the best things, just overall treatments. I get impressed every month that I read more and more about this stuff. I'm just like, man, I wish I was doing this, 10, 15 years ago.
Have you studied the other color lights? I've heard that different colors do different things.
Yeah, so we even do like some of our face masks will have different lights. So blue light I know is good for like acne if people have like oily skin and acne. Um, and then there's the purple one I think is good for, like, lymphatic drainage and even in the face. It helps with, a lot of people get, like, when they see, like, swelling in the face and stuff like that and poor circulation, that helps. There's even, like, green lights and orange lights and that. I don't know all
Mhm.
what they do, but
Yeah.
there's definitely, benefits from that for the face. The body, we typically just use the red light because the red light absorbs the best into the cells. One of the things I saw too is that the body will get rid of damaged cells and then start replicating new healthier cells because the red light activates the mitochondria of the cells.
Mhm.
So your body will start replicating the healthier cells, and really it's an anti-aging process. When you start replicating healthier cells, that's how you slow down the aging process. So it's like athletes are doing this, adults are doing this, like just it's one of the best things that you can do. You've seen gyms now
So,
have some of those panels on the wall.
in a way, it's a gift and a curse because I didn't understand this until Frank invited me to come in. So, you've been following me
Yeah.
and you knew that I was in the area and then you're like, "Oh, come in, try it out." Now it's like an addiction. I mean, I haven't been in a while. I should be going, but,
You were
you
away a lot too. You had to go.
yes, and I was in DC, but you gotta invest in yourself. So, if you guys who are watching this have red light therapy places that you can go, I mean, and what sets your machines apart from the others? Because isn't there just regular standard red lights versus what yours is doing?
Yeah, so, like I was saying, like, at the gym, they have some of those panels on the wall, and that's good, like, and you can buy those home units, but when you can wrap your body in the red light, there's just a better effect because when it's right on the skin and it goes right into the cells,
Mm,
you get so much better absorption, you get so much better usage of that red light because there's different wavelengths of there's red, there's infrared, there's near infrared, and each wavelength has a different frequency that to help the body and the cells do with to basically replicate those healthier cells, get rid of damaged cells, increase circulation, increase lymphatic drainage. When you can wrap your body in the red light, it's got nowhere to go but into your cells and into your body. And that's where I find that people get better fat loss, better weight loss, better metabolism, better energy, less brain fog, more circulation, more lymphatic drainage. I mean, it's just like it's the best thing.
so a lot of people comment on how young Trump looks, how energetic he is. I mean, he doesn't even really sleep when he's on
Yeah.
AF1. You know, a lot of the reporters and his staff talk about how he's up. He expects you to be up. So, do you think he's using red light or med beds?
I think he may use red light, but I know he does, a lot of regenerative medicine. He's very into, like, regenerative medicine. This was kinda before this is going back, like, really the last 10 years or so. I feel like he's gotten more into regenerative medicine. So a lot of people do, like, stem cells. They do, PRP for joint problems, where they basically take the blood out, spin it in a centrifuge, separate the platelets from the plasma and then inject it back in that area. I've actually done it. I've done it on my shoulder. I've done it on my knee. I've even done it in my thumb just from injuries I've had from playing football over the years and just being a chiropractor. But you can even do it like in your back. You can do it like really about anywhere. But also there's these these like oil changes. Have you heard about like where people basically take their blood, filter it out through a system, introduce, UV, like, blue light to it to clean it and put it back in your body. A lot of people were doing this after COVID.
I did not hear this, but this actually
Yeah.
kind of scares me.
So it's kinda freaky, but a lot of the like, Joe Rogan's talked about it, Gary Brecka. You basically, they call it an oil change, like, you hook yourself up, it comes out this side, goes through the machine, comes back in the other side, like, in this vein on this side, but it's now cleaned. You can actually do it, like, just so you get sick, you can actually clean the viruses out of your body so that the sickness goes away right away instead of waiting, a week with a flu or something like that. And then when you clean your blood, especially after COVID, like, if you've been COVID shots, a lot of people have side effects from that and the toxicity from that. You can kinda get some of that out. They've even found these huge clots coming out, and if that's in your body, you're more likely to get a stroke, a heart attack, an embolism, like, all these things can happen, so if you clean that out, you're just gonna have such a better circulation in your body.
So wait, how much does this cost?
I don't know the exact cost. So at some point, I wanna have a clinic where I do these kind of medical procedures and chiropractic. Like,
Mhm.
that's my goal over the next, like, 5 years is try to have more of a clinic that does, like, everything. But for now, I haven't done that yet. I've just seen, people do that, but I think it's maybe $500 or something.
Really? I feel like that'd be more.
Bucks maybe, just depending on where you go. I don't even know who does it around here,
Yeah.
like, in the Nashville area.
Don't worry, I'm not.
It's
Let you more for me right now.
it's interesting though, and you see, like, I've seen this where, like, they're showing, like, the clean blood and but
Mhm.
it's also filtering out these clots, and a lot of it you've heard that with a lot of people who get COVID shot have these blood clots in their body, and it's able to kinda clean some of that out so that down the road, hopefully, they're not getting strokes and heart attacks, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of those morgues when people had already passed in 2020,
That too.
clear out those huge clots. It's just so sad. And so, yeah, anything that's preventative, I'm for.
Yeah.
I'm just, I did not get the JAB. I don't even know if that's still being censored or not, but
I didn't
I did
either.
not get it. Proud anti vaxxer. And I mean, I don't know. Now there's just so many studies that are coming out about even autism and the
Yeah.
multiple things. And they say that, well, Robert F. Kennedy actually said that his voice, the reason why it's so scratchy, was a result of vaccine injury.
Yeah, so he had gotten I think it was a flu shot, and, it basically gave him the side effects of that. A lot of people don't realize there's always a chance of these side effects from that. Um, I have my brother-in-law's stepfather has, Guillain-Barré syndrome from a flu shot that he got, where it's really made his body he's almost not wheelchair bound, but his legs aren't as strong as they used to be. He's a lot weaker with stuff like that. Um, and once you get those, it's very hard to reverse the damaging effects if it's gotten to that point. Even RFK, who's actually a big proponent of chiropractic, he's gotten a lot of adjustments. He said that's helped, but his voice is still not quite, where he wants to be. I don't know if it'll ever be back where it used to be, and that's the problem is, like, you really gotta do the research, and that's why they've recommended now to do the same vaccine schedule as, like, Europe does, basically, where they do, I think, 11 or 12 shots or something like that, where we're not doing these 72 shots.
Well, I know people who are actually pulling their kids out of school systems early to move to other states so that they don't have the same regulations because in certain states, it's required that they get certain shots.
Yeah. Um, like, I used to live in New York growing up, and a lot of my friends, they're still there, and they got a deal. You can't even do, like, a medical exemption there. Like,
Wow.
you can't even do a religious exemption, and it's very tough to get a medical exemption because a lot of doctors just don't wanna deal with it, and then the religious exemptions, they just won't accept them from most places. That's the one that's good about the South here is that they're more open to stuff like that, but really, like, health should be a choice, and if we've learned anything about this, is that you can't shot, that you don't know the side effects, you haven't tested it on people for more than, a few months at the best, and you're just gonna just make everybody go get it, and then make it mandatory for their jobs, for their schools, for whatever. Like, it's such a terrible thing that we even went through that, but hopefully now people learn that we shouldn't just jump into something just because the government told you to do that.
Well, one thing that you brought up, which I think is super important, you said that you wish that MAHA was around years ago. And the same thing for, my generation. It's like, I wish that we knew the things we did before about the food as well. And now, we're paying the price, but we had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I just really hope for the generations going forward that they take this seriously. And it's like, if you can have the healthiest start to begin with, I mean, I know even people when it comes to pregnancy, they're avoiding the hospitals because they don't want chemicals going to their body from the
Yeah.
start.
A lot more home births, a lot more, midwives that you see are helping out with people. Yeah, they're doing, like, even, like, water births or just if they go to the hospital, they have a really detailed written out plan that they're doing certain things for, and it's important, like and, just when the baby's born, when the umbilical cord to wait to cut the umbilical cord till the blood stops pumping through there, that's really important stem cells that the baby needs, so, like, that's what we did. We delayed, cutting the umbilical cord. We did the skin-to-skin stuff, like, we tried to do that, and my daughter just turned 15 actually yesterday.
Happy
She turned
birthday.
15, and then my other one's, 11, and we did the same thing for both of them, and, I find that it really helps when they're those first days of life. It's really important to do that, and I always tell people too, like, if you do choose to vaccinate, I would at least wait till you go to the pediatrician
Mm.
after when that baby's born, just give it a day or 2, while you're in the hospital, go home, and then make appointments with your doctor. I would wait. That's such an important time to just not introduce something foreign like that when they're just born. You see a lot of instances of jaundice and stuff like that, and a lot of times it's because babies that are born early are gonna have possible jaundice anyway, but now if you introduce vaccines, it could overwhelm their system, and so they could end up in the hospital, they could end up having a side effect. I just caution people just to wait, and then if you're gonna do it, at least wait and talk with your pediatrician, and just consider the new schedule of vaccines where it's, 11 or 12 rather than 72. There's a reason why they've recommended to down those, and there's a reason why people in Europe are healthier than us, and they live
Yeah.
longer.
And obviously, the people watching, I don't know what you believe in, but obviously, in my views, God put us on the earth. I don't think when, God planned humankind that he was gonna say everyone should get injected with
Yeah,
everything under the sun. I mean, there's a famous meme, it's like a baby, and I think they have all these different shots around
I've
it.
seen that.
And it's just wild when you really start to think about what have we been putting in our systems, and even allergies that develop, now they're finding that some of these allergies are a result of vaccines, so
Yeah,
hopefully more people wake up to that.
I agree. I think it's just, the shots that they do, and there's so many of them too. It's one thing if you do, once in a while, but then you start doing 3 or 4 in one time at a well visit. The problem with the well visits, they're just shot visits. And so, when you're overwhelming the system every few months with multiple shots and, everything at the same time, it just overwhelms a kid's system.
Wow. Well, what advice would you give to, I guess, athletes that are in school now, or anything you think you've learned based on your practice to stay healthy and prevent injuries?
So, the athletes, the sooner you can go, do stuff for recovery. So they teach really well, all the basics of every sport you play, but there's not a lot of emphasis on recovery after these practices and nutrition and things in between there. Kids are eating so much processed foods at this point. I'm hoping that the MAHA movement gets better, but I was telling my daughter today, I was like, "Listen, I make her lunch every day. I personally make her lunch ever since she's been in school. I make it every single day, and I do it for both my daughters, and that's something my mom did for me, and I was like, she always made me a nice lunch. She put in some fruits in there and stuff, and maybe a sandwich. I've made my kids lunch, and I'm gonna do it all through high school, but I'm just like, you have to put good fuel in your body. You can't put garbage in because 'cause you're gonna get garbage out. Your muscles, your ligaments, your tendons, your soft tissues are gonna break down if you're constantly feeding it processed foods. You're gonna get sick a lot, and then when you try to recover from an injury, when your body's toxic, you're gonna delay your injury recovery too. So, at that point, what good are you for your teammates and your team and your coaches if you're not around, A, because you're sick all the time, or B, you're hurt all the time. So I feel like as an athlete, it's your job to stay healthy, and part of that is getting adjusted, eating right, drinking a lot of water, sleeping. The other problem is like, so my kids, or my daughter, my oldest, we don't let her have a phone at night. So we at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever time that bedtime is during the week, we take the phone out of the room and it stays downstairs. Kids will be on their phone all night scrolling. It's terrible because it keeps your brain active, so you're not getting good REM sleep, and that's another way you get dementia and Alzheimer's if you're not getting enough sleep. You see it,
I gotta watch that.
so you gotta come to a point where you just turn it off. Like, it's hard to turn it off even as an adult. We get locked into that too, but at least with the kids, like, just take the phone out of the room. I'm like, "We pay for the phone. I don't think you need it at 10 o'clock at night. Nothing's gonna happen." So we put the phone downstairs and it charges down there. Um So that she's not having that, 'cause if you're not sleeping enough, you're not gonna recover either. But
Yep.
I feel like I'm hoping more parents see the benefits of chiropractic. It's very safe for kids, it's very safe for babies, but especially young athletes, you have to get adjusted. I'm telling you too, the performance when I started getting adjusted, my performance went up so well. Like, my last year of high school, I was captain of my team. I was safety, kick returner, wide receiver, running back. I played everything. I was hit all the time, or I was hitting somebody all the time. I didn't get hurt at all through that year. It was just like an amazing thing. I was faster. I was recovering faster from practices. I just feel like that was such a good thing to do. I even have red light stuff in my house now and make my daughter do that after practice. I try to really implement this early, so I'm hoping more adults that with kids will see this and start doing that because it's not talked about enough, and that's why there's all these injuries.
Yeah, well, I seriously think that your advice is actually going to help people, and I know that right now. Obviously, people know me as a political news account, but I am trying to kind of talk more about what's going on with MAHA. And that is something that more people are getting interested in because at the end of the day, no matter what's going on in the world, you have to take care of yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end of the day, that's what you have. You have your family, you have your health. And I think that these conversations before were very suppressed because big farm makes money off people being sick.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the more visits you have, the more money they're making. So if you can learn how to be preventative yourself, in a holistic way. I mean, me personally, when I get sick, I actually I don't take any like big farm medication.
Yeah.
My mom found this stuff called Naturecillin and anti-plague, so you have to order it. I don't know the store, but I'll have to link it. And it's not a sponsor or anything like that.
So
But
osculatum or some
y-
kind of like little like pellet things. Have you ever seen those things?
oh yeah, those are great.
They're like a little tube.
I don't know the name of it, but
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
oh, do I?
your tongue.
Yeah.
And then honey garlic. So if you have like honey and garlic and you
Yep.
kind of just let it let it sit in like a glass jar. Another thing, use glass as much as possible. I have tried to get rid of plastic, at least it's
Same.
metal. And yeah, I just the more that you can do for yourself, you will see a difference, including staying hydrated. And back to the whole Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has great podcasts about health, and they talked about how the microplastics, even when you just heat your food in the microwave, can really affect you.
Yeah, and also the microwave just it kills the nutrients in the food anyway. But going back to what you're saying about, like with health, it is your responsibility because the other thing is that the last thing I wanna do is be a burden on my family, so the things I'm doing now is because I don't wanna be a burden later on them where I end up in a nursing home or, "Oh, dad's always hurt," or "Dad can't remember," or "Dad this," that, you know what I mean? I don't want them to remember me as that old man that couldn't walk up and down the stairs or couldn't come to their games or couldn't do
I'll
that.
never be that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's why I do this, like, that's why, I do health talks, I do lunch and learns with a lot of companies in the area, but also I try to live my life where I'm healthier. I'm not perfect by any means, but I feel like every year I get better because I learn more, and I feel like it's important for people to learn about health. We spend so much time researching all these other vacations and whatever, like, do some research about your health because you only get one body, and if you ruin it, you can't get another one, and you try to replace parts in it, it's not the same as a car, it's not gonna work the same way. It might still work, but you're damaged at that point. So, I always tell people, do the conservative route first, like with chiropractic. Before you jump into surgery, go to a chiropractor, try to get adjusted, try to get the disc, healthier instead of just cutting it off. Try to just do something that is more preventative and, be more proactive with your health so that you don't end up in the nursing home, so you don't end up with dementia.
Well, and find naturopath doctors.
Yeah.
Try to ditch your I shouldn't be giving I'm not a doctor. I'm just giving my opinion as a and I think that, if you go more towards holistic health, that you will feel better and overall over time will be better. I mean, if you think about it, even there's constantly pictures that we see of like the 1970s where people were skinnier,
Yeah.
they weren't having as much seed oils and things like that, and they were chain smokers. I mean, I'm not advocating to go smoke cigarettes, but it makes you wonder why they lived as long as they did.
Yeah. Well, and bring up the seed oils, that's the reason why a lot of people have skin problems and cancer of the skin and everything because the seed oils make you more susceptible to sunlight. So, of course, they're gonna tell you to hide in the house and not get all the sunlight, but really this you need the sun, like, that's what your body needs to process sun. If you don't get enough sun, you have increased inflammation, you're gonna have increased chronic diseases, you're not gonna get good sleep at night because your circadian rhythms are off. Um which brings up, like, daylight savings time coming up next month. That's the biggest heart attack day of the year when you turn the
What?
clocks forward because you mess with everybody's circadian rhythms, and Mondays is the biggest heart attack day anyway because you go back to work, you go back to school, everything's in chaos that day, but then you add in you just messed up somebody's sleep and you lost an hour of sleep. It's one of the biggest days of the year for heart attacks.
Yeah, I don't want to think about
So the sun, like, is very important, and especially in the winter when you're not getting enough of it, you got to get red light. You got to do something to be outside, take a walk. It's actually getting warm now. It's like 60, 70 degrees out.
It is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. Right? The last 2 days have been some of the greatest days in the last several months. But all right, well, where can they find you on social media if they want to learn more?
So I'm on Instagram at Ideal Health Wellness Center, Facebook at Ideal Health and Wellness Center. I'd have my podcast, Sporting Good Posture. It's on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the main areas that you can watch podcasts. And then I also 615-567-6683. I'm in Cool Springs in Franklin, right by the mall and Costco. Very convenient for everybody to go to. A lot of people are already up there shopping anyway. Trader Joe's is right by there.
We know our video guy is already going. So
Yeah. So yeah, I'm here to help. And the biggest thing is just, there's stigma about chiropractors. The biggest thing is just if you've tried other things and it's not working and you're still having chronic issues, you're still having back pain, you don't have to live like that. I have so many people that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s that come to my office that feel great now. And they're like, man, I wish I started this earlier. Aging doesn't have to be a terrible thing where you just get old and decrepit. It can be where you age gracefully. It's much better to age like that, and after all the years of work, be able to travel, be able to play with grandkids, and just be able to walk up and down the stairs just to like do laundry or something. Like if you don't take care of yourself, like that's why a lot of people go into nursing homes, is because they can't go up and down the stairs anymore, or they can't even sit down on the toilet to go to the bathroom.
Well, the last thing I want to talk about, because I was going to close it, but real quick. Last time when we originally recorded, we talked a little bit about ayahuasca because we were talking about
Oh yeah.
your pineal gland. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so you've heard, like, if you're a sports fan, you heard Aaron Rodgers has done like his little ayahuasca retreats, but you're seeing this more and more because people are dealing with anxiety and depression, and there is something to that. If it's in a controlled area and you're doing it under supervision, people have gotten really major results as far as like better out of depression, anxiety, just better mental focus, and really activating the pineal gland is the third eye. And if you go into all the things that, fluoride and chemicals basically calcify your pineal gland. So you're not as spiritual, you're not as your brain health isn't as good when the pineal gland is calcified. So you really have that higher being, that higher mental awareness, that higher, mental acuity that you get from having your pineal gland clear and not full of calcium. So yeah, something like that I think is important.
Listen, this is not medical advice or dental advice, but you might want to ditch your fluoride toothpaste.
Yes.
Because as it is, I think it's in a lot of our water. And
well, hopefully, and I think it was January 20th, RFK released that they want everybody to get rid of the fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
All counties and cities across the country should be getting rid of it. So over the next few years, I'm really hoping that they actually do that. And I'm hoping that people are going down to their local municipalities and trying to fight this and be like, hey, when are we getting the fluoride out of the water? Because
I believe Florida's leading the way.
yeah, they seem to lead the way in all this health stuff, which is great.
It's a great state.
Plenty of sunlight there too.
Yeah, part of me misses it for sure, but hey, spring is coming. We're almost there. Thank you so much for coming on. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, you can find me at Toriavision, the show, or The Real Toria Brooke on Instagram, Truth Social, Telegram, and then Real Toria Brooke on X. Thanks so much for tuning in.